Ooh la la, regardez. Look at this beautiful tree. This is my favorite tree. And I like to come near him to do my video. Bonjour everyone. I hope you are doing well. I am happy to be back with this new video where we will be talking about the new moon in Pisces, which will take place on Thursday, tomorrow, March 19 at 11:24 Brisbane, Queensland time, Australia, sitting at 28 degrees, 27 minutes of the Pisces sign. Well, we have passed the first round of eclipses in the months of February and March. So now we are facing the first new moon following this sequence of eclipses. So this new moon is a bit like a post-eclipse breather. She occurs in the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces, the closing sign. So she tells us that we are still in a kind of closing, finalizing phase. It is not over. But before continuing, I invite you to share this video if you like it. You can leave a comment and give it a thumbs up. It is for me to gain a greater visibility. Thank you all in advance. And then I want to make an announcement. For those of you who live locally, not far from me, starting Thursday, April 30th, and every Thursday thereafter, from 6 to 8 p.m., I am starting an interactive astrology group, which is called Astro Vibes, for you to learn the basics of astrology, to know yourself deeper, to read and unlock the secrets of your birth chart, and gain insights into your family and friends as well. So contact me to reserve your spot, as my space is limited to a small group. So back to this new moon in Pisces. This is an important lunar cycle, as it is the last new moon of the astrological year. And the very next day, March 20, the sun enters the sign of Aries. And that will be the autumn equinox for us in the Southern Hemisphere, and the spring equinox for the Northern Hemisphere. So this new moon is symbolically charged because she does not just mark a lunar renewal, a new beginning. She literally sits at the hinge of two worlds, Pisces-Aries, because we are at the very end of the zodiac, 28-29 degrees of Pisces, and the equinox is approaching at the vernal point, which is the 0 degree of Aries. So this new moon acts as a critical, long-term energetic catalyst due to her conversations with major outer planets Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, but also a role in closing a significant 9 years eclipse cycle, because it will be 9 years before another set of eclipses occurs on the Virgo-Pisces axis. So this lunation represents both culmination of the past year and the foundational seeding for the next 9 years. The sign of Pisces is a sign of dissolution, spirituality, dreams, the invisible, and also the sign of sacrifice, of universal compassion, which leads to a form of transcendence. So we don't build under Pisces. We tend to integrate things, digest them, and let them flow. So this period we are going through should not rush us into taking the initiative. What is asked of us first is to integrate, to digest, to let dissolve what has been stirred up, The sign of Pisces does not abruptly close chapters. It brings us back to the essential questions. That is to say, what must remain? What is meant to fall away? What is fascinating about this lunar cycle is that we are witnessing a symbolic reversal between the two signs, Pisces and Aries. It is like a kind of passing the torch, where we have a new moon in Pisces, ruled by Neptune, placed in Aries, the sign of Mars, and Mars is in Pisces, the sign of Neptune. So these two planets are in each other's signs. In astrology, we call this a mutual reception. It is as if they are reaching out to each other, crossing the border, and they embody a bridge where we really need to blend these two energies of Pisces and Aries. And this is emphasized by the important conjunctions we are seeing at this time, where two energies are passing the baton. We have the Sun and the Moon conjunctions in Pisces, the Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Aries, the Mercury-North Node conjunction in Pisces, and we have the coupling of the new moon and the equinox portals. Pisces closes the zodiacal cycle, and Aries initiates the new one. And in this lunar cycle, these two energies intertwine, and we don't feel completely at the end, nor even yet at the beginning. So it is a bit as if this new moon, which is a new beginning, actually marks an end. This is very ambiguous indeed. We are really in that in-between phase, a liminal space. So this is a new moon that does not begin, she concludes. She invites you to a rather subtle inner work, that is to recognize what is finished, even if no dramatic break has yet officially marked the end. She acts as a sacred initiation that prepares the ground for the upcoming astrological new year. So, if you would like to kick off this new astrological year, which is under the influence of this new moon and the equinox, and if you want to understand how and where it affects you in your birth chart, you can book a consultation with me by sending your birth detail to info@francoisemonroe360art.au or via Messenger. Thank you. This new moon in Pisces shows a strong stellium, or a concentration of planets aligned in Pisces, extending into Aries with the Neptune-Saturn conjunction. And all of this forms a structuring role. In fact, the stellium from Pisces to Aries is literally like bridging the end of something and the beginning of something. And the new moon in the middle of it is a sign of isolation, because Pisces also represents enclosed spaces where one is confined, like prisons, hospitals, nursing homes, and confinement is not just physical. It can also be mental, emotional, and spiritual. So to get the best possible start at the time of this new moon, you really need to listen to your inner world. Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, so he is the ruler of this new moon, and he sets the general tone. So here we are talking about heightened sensitivity, intuitive perceptions, and also the dissolution of somewhat rigid certainties. Lots of emotion. It is an energy that expands your consciousness but that can also create confusion, especially if you cling on reference points that no longer hold. And this energy will remain so until April. However, and fortunately, Saturn accompanies Neptune. Their conjunction is still active, and Saturn's presence changes the interpretation. Saturn, at the beginning of Aries, does not allow for illusion or mystical escape. There, he demands embodiment. He asks that your heightened awareness lead to a new responsibility. So you can no longer be content with understanding, but you must commit. During this lunar cycle, Mercury is still retrograde in Pisces, but is at his stationary point as he returns to direct motion the next day, March 20, the day of the equinox. And Mercury is exactly conjunct the North Node in Pisces and also in conjunction with Mars, but is in detriment and in fall, so is not at his best, in fact, here. His position makes it difficult to verbalize your thoughts, as emotion prevents fluid, audible and clear speech. So communication can be unclear. Conversations may seem to go around in circles, and decisions harder to solidify. You may be more inclined to daydream rather than plan. This retrograde Mercury in Pisces indicates a work of inner revision, but the positive side is that it will allow you to clarify rather than decide. So at the end of this retrograde phase, Mercury shows us that it is necessary to take the time. Take the time to identify and reflect on what you truly want to change in your life. Mercury asks you to take stocks, assess your priorities, set clear, achievable and realistic goals, create an action plan and begin taking the plunge, using your intuition, inspiration and discernment, which will be your allies in moving toward this renewal. It will be a matter of making decisions which may be radical and irreversible, because with these energies of this new moon in Pisces, there is no going back. And with Mercury in conjunction with the North Node, your soul is being drawn in a certain direction. So it is good to ask yourself, as you set your intentions for this new moon, what the Mercury retrograde phase that may have led you to revisit over the past few weeks. You may have revisited a relationship, a lesson learned, an idea, a project, a health plan, and this has put you in a state of preparation. And the day after the new moon, Mercury moves forward. So everything you have understood, everything you have reflected on and integrated, you can now put it into action, starting the day after the new moon. This new moon in Pisces forms an harmonious and exact sextile with Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is a planet of the unexpected, of liberating, rupture, of genius, originality and revolution. And during the last 7 years, Uranus in Taurus has built his revolutions in the material world, in your body, in resources, and therefore in what is meant to last. This harmonious dialogue indicates a change which should not be abrupt but organic. So it is a transformation that you feel in your body, in your habits, in your relationship, to what you possess, including your relationship to your talents and the value you place on yourself. So here Uranus comes to support this new moon, and it comes as a liberator, and it can open a new door that you thought you did not have. So this new moon in Pisces can inspire a departure completely unexpected, which also relies heavily on inspiration, intuition, and your belief system. The sparkly beam of Uranus brings unexpected breakthroughs, sudden clarity, and innovative steps toward the future, prompting a break from old habits and providing the necessary fresh air to break free from stagnation. It represents opportunity and the ability to move directly toward your goals and projects, to affirm your identity by using your intuition, imagination, and inspiration. So expect to feel illuminated and receive epiphanies, eureka moments. At these moments, the projects become clear and obvious. You make radical decisions that lead to rapid changes in your daily life, in all areas of your life, in fact. It is nothing more and nothing less than a return to your autonomy, a return to your freedom, to harmony. We have Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries still active for a few more days, and it is in a favorable sextile aspect with Pluto in Aquarius. We have seen that Saturn is in fall in Aries, generating harshness, intransigence, and rigidity. Saturn merges with Neptune, so it is in the realm of faith, religion, travel, and artificial environments, and all community and humanitarian aspects that restrictions are felt the strongest. The sextile to Pluto will allow for a profound cleansing and a sharp, penetrating analysis of its hidden meaning. The purification will be long because it is extremely deep and widespread. Pluto signifies a profound transformation in your personal and family life. You will search deep within yourself, with all your heart, for the strength to strive, to spread well-being around you. This will be your mission, even if it is sometimes unconscious. It is a very beautiful plan. Venus is in a 10 square aspect with Jupiter until March 21st, 22nd. So during this time, she may cause breaks, ruptures in emotional, relational, and financial contracts. During this transit, you will experience positively or negatively, depending on your level of awareness, the effect of the restructuring you choose to undertake or not on a relational, emotional, and financial level. It is up to you, therefore, to carefully consider the impact of your choices. Venus is in exile in Aries and suppresses any form of emotional outpouring of your feelings. Despite everything, Jupiter resumed its direct motion on March the 12th, allowing you to ensure longevity and a well-structured framework for all your commitments made from that date onward. Jupiter is strong in Cancer, is exalted, and is ruled by the moon. And Jupiter is in a favorable trine aspect with Mars in Pisces. So you have here a superb energy and a fighting spirit in your actions. enabling you to initiate growth and expansion. You will give yourself the means to finally move forward, to achieve success and the promotion you have been waiting for. Mars in Pisces acts through intuition, inspiration, and also the heart. So it is not a warrior Mars. It is a Mars that follows the current, which adapts enormously. And Jupiter in Cancer amplifies all of this with a protective, even maternal gentleness. So this trine tells you that the action you should take is not the one that forces, but the one that flows naturally. So whatever situation you find yourself in during this new moon time, don't force things, but let it flow. With Venus, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, you will tend to put the cart before the horse. But don't forget that we are with a new moon in Pisces, so let it flow. So with Mars, Jupiter trine, you are invited to move forward, to move toward a new direction, starting from what you are going to abandon. Even more so from what you have already abandoned. It is important to keep in mind what you have left behind you, and often through many trials. Because the sign of Pisces also evokes trials. So we let certain things die, but there are losses on different levels that can occur, forcing us to shed our old skin and move towards renewal. So it is a new moon which announces favorable opportunities. There is a renewal, unavoidably and essential changes, a transformation underway that affects us all, because we all have the sign of Pisces in a particular area of our natal chart. So we are all affected by these energies, individually, but also collectively. So now you see that this is a new moon that is profoundly constructive, but in her own way. That is to say, she won't offer an explosion of new things right away, but rather a conscious closure. And we will have this atmosphere until mid-April. And that is where our true positive character lies. Why? Because after the eclipses, which may have given us the impression of being swept away by forces that literally overwhelmed us, this new moon will make the process more internalized. She will give you more room to maneuver. She will also allow you to choose how to end what needs to be finished. Because if you accept the end of this or that, then the beginning of other things, the beginning that the energy of Aries already erodes, will be much more solid. Once again, this new moon places you in a liminal space, as we are between two cycles, between the two signs of Pisces and Aries, between the two portals of the new moon and the equinox. So this new moon truly requires discernment, inner patience, and an ability to tolerate ambiguity without trying to fill it in too quickly. Because closing things off does not mean you have failed. It does not mean you have missed something. Here, the act of closing is akin to an act of maturity. So if you accept this ending, whatever it may be, if you also accept letting dissolve what no longer holds vital force for you, then the fire of the next cycle, Aries, will not be an impulsive reaction. It will be a decision, one that has been matured on your part, and that will be lasting. That is the goal from now on. It is to do things over time. The true evolution here is to no longer confuse the notion of beginning with the notion of escape. To no longer confuse the notion of dissolution with the notion of loss. But rather to recognize that each conscious ending prepares you for a more aligned beginning in relation to yourself. And this new moon in Pisces, she won't push you outward for the moment. She will bring you back inward. And in April, things are being prepared. Things are taking shape. That is when you will know precisely why. Why, and also for what purpose? Why and for what purpose are you making concrete progress? So to summarize, don't start too quickly, and you will move forward without feeling threatened. That is the true purpose of this first new moon after the eclipses. It is to teach us that the right movement, the right time, is neither rushing, nor hesitating, nor resisting. It is conscious adaptation. Once again, we are at the end of a zodiacal cycle with the energy of Pisces in the foreground, but in the background we are already with Aries. There is a kind of paradox here. This indicates that the quality of the next cycle, the next beginning, will depend directly on the quality of the current ending. So the question is not what is going to happen, but it will be more about how I, as a person, can I participate in this transition? Because in fact, this lunar cycle won't impose anything on you. It will simply invite you to let things mature. So, in conclusion, in the liminal space between this new moon in Pisces and the equinox portal, the veil is extra thin, making this a potent time for dream work, meditation, art therapeutic sessions, and receiving spiritual downloads. This new moon erases the weight of the past, focusing your passion on your goals. You are guided by a spirit of truth and clarity in your situations of blockage. You find within yourself the key that resolve your material problems. Exchanges and sharing are also present to initiate the birth of your projects. A balance is being restored, bringing more calm and serenity. Passion will not be lacking in your actions, undoubtedly leading you to success. In your homes and in your private lives, you will have the necessary support to overcome adversity and conflicts that may arise, thanks to the wisdom of the heart in your interactions and new exchanges. You can count on the protection of the universe to thwart all ill intentions, provided you remain true to yourself and optimistic in your actions, and you will know it. That is when luck and grace will appear. Okay? I stop here. I leave you to ponder all of this. And I will see you soon to talk about stars. Listen to this bird. Stars are my favorite topic. I wish you all a very beautiful new moon. May we all walk the trail of our heart with love and light.